welcome back to the Fruit Basket Podcast, where today we got a few things to talk about, but ultimately, a big part of the video, hopefully, we'll see. We'll see how long I talk about the other two subjects, probably not for long, but the main topic I want to do is going over some Batman, is going over some Batman hot takes that I found on Reddit. I've been watching a couple comic book hot takes videos from Troy Boyo and what is his name? Evan Von Doom, I believe his name is. I watched a couple of them yesterday, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do something similar to this on the podcast because I really had nothing else planned. Because even with the stuff that kind of came out in terms of the news, there's not a lot that I feel like really needs to be covered all that much, or at least not much that I have to say. But the first thing I wanted to talk about was the announcement of the new Godzilla Kong movie, which is called Godzilla Kong Supernova. And we have almost no level of information about it in terms of the details within the movie, except for the fact that, we got the title and we know they are now in production of the movie. So stuff could definitely still change, but with the name Supernova, obviously it is implying some outer space levels of, exploration in the Godzilla Kong universe. And this has me and a lot of people thinking that we could get the introduction of Space Godzilla. Now, if you don't know anything about Space Godzilla, neither do I really. All I know is that it's Space Godzilla. That's it. I'm only aware of Space Godzilla as someone who is I wouldn't say I'm a big fan, but I would say I'm a little bit more knowledgeable than some when it comes to Godzilla and the kaiju, the monsterverse, shit like that. I can tell you the names, I couldn't tell you the lore, or at least a lot of the ancient lore. I'm aware of Godzilla's dropkick move where he slides on his tail, shit like that. I know random bits of information, but I'm not a big nerd about it. But as soon as they came out and it was Supernova, I was immediately this is Space Godzilla, right? This has to be Space Godzilla. Godzilla from space. I mean, he looks cool. You can't help to deny, but he looks cool. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but he just looks so freaking cool. I like the big spikes. I like the little crown thing that he has up here. I like the color scheme. It's just so cool. Just so many spikes, so many crystal spikes. It's just such a cool design. But yeah, that's really it when it comes to the new Godzilla movie. But this wasn't the only announcement that we got. We already knew that Peacemaker Season 2 was coming later this year, but this was the first trailer that we got for it. We only got bits and pieces of some stuff here or there, but this was the biggest thing we got. Now, I'm not going to go through this trailer bit by bit. There's a fun part at the beginning where Peacemaker is trying out for the Justice League or whatever this team is going to be in the Superman movie. We get to see Hawkgirl, Guy Gardner. I believe this is our first look at Sean Gunn's Maxwell Lord. But yeah, he's just kind of auditioning for them, and I thought this was pretty fun. But yeah, we get to see them. We get to see Hawkgirl. I think this is our first official look of Hawkgirl without the helmet. She does get a second shot in the Superman trailer, but I think this is our first real good look at her, even though she doesn't have the helmet on. Then we got Maxwell Lord, and of course we got Guy Gardner. So they're keeping the suits, and I believe this happens after Superman. I believe they have said that Peacemaker takes place after Superman. So it's gonna be It's going to be interesting to see if this scene honestly makes the cut, because who knows, maybe because of Superman some of the stuff might be changed and they're just trying to not give out spoilers, but it's going to be interesting. I think this is just going to be a one-off bit though. I don't think they're going to appear later in the series, but I do want to kind of speculate on some of the the ending scene of the trailer where we see Peacemaker. He's in that dimensional closet that his dad had in his house, and then he goes into this weird room. So, yeah, he goes into this weird room. I've been trying to look at stuff around there, to give some giveaways. But as we see here, it's just another form of John Cena's Peacemaker, probably from the multiverse.
Who the fuck are you?
I don't know, it could be a clone. His helmet's pretty different. His suit has some differences from the regular Peacemaker suit, and that's been shown in the series so far. But this could be a multiversal version of it. This could be a clone. probably multiverse. I mean, when it came to like the DCEU becoming the DCU, like James Gunn's new cinematic universe, there's always been the questioning of like what's canon from his previous projects, from the previous projects of the DCEU. And I believe it's been stated that all of Peacemaker is canon, except for the Justice League appearance. Like that's the only thing that's not canon to the universe. So I'm not sure if it's gonna be played into like, oh, the different like, you know, going from the DCEU to the DCU. I'm not sure if this is going to play a part into it, but it's going to be interesting to see the very least. Maybe this could be like a hallucination almost. I don't know. And the reason why I believe that is because we are going to get the return of Peacemaker's father, which was teased in like the final moments of the first season, that he's going to come back as a ghost and haunt him. So who knows? This could be like a hallucination that he's experiencing of like maybe this is the Peacemaker that his father wanted him to be. So it's going to be interesting to see where this plays out. Outside of this, it's not that there's nothing to talk about in this trailer, at least in terms of like where the series is going to go. Right now I'm in the middle of rewatching the first season, but it's mostly just like character beats that I'm definitely interested because I like these characters. But this is like the big one that I feel like people were talking about, of being like, oh, are they going to do the multiverse shit like that? But we'll just have to wait and see. It comes out, I believe, August 21st. So yeah, honestly, I was talking to one of my buddies about this, and he essentially said that he was like, I really hope it's not multiversal stuff, because I'm just kind of tired of it. And obviously I get his point. You know, there's been like an oversaturation of multiverse stuff in regards to almost every single fucking property now. But with this one, I feel like with Peacemaker, it's almost like, I feel like it's kind of okay, because it's like, what Peacemaker stories are you gonna do? You know, like how many, like nobody's gonna see this and be like, oh, you ruined the character of Peacemaker, this doesn't fit with his character, because nobody gives a fuck about Peacemaker's character. Like, I enjoy the show, but I think like the show, the first season itself is like insanely weird. So like, yeah, if they want to do some like stuff with like the multiverse in season 2, as long as it's handled well and not just used for, I mean, how do you even use it for the clicks and shit like that? Because like, who would care about alternate versions of Peacemaker? But yeah, this is all I had to really talk about in terms of you know, like news that dropped, in terms of like, you know, we got the Godzilla Kong announcements for Supernova, we got this teaser trailer, but now let's get to the hot takes. Now I pulled up a few of these from Reddit, but we're gonna mostly go with this one, and whether or not there's a lot of like interesting ones with these, we will probably later go on to these ones. But this one is like the most recent one I was able to find, so we're gonna go through like this post and see what people have put under there. So first off, there's exactly one good Batman who kills, and that's Flashpoint Batman. And that's because Thomas Wayne recognizes that Bruce would be a better Batman than him, hence why he helps Flash fix the timeline so Bruce can live. Yeah, I think, you know, I wouldn't even say this is a hot take. I don't think like any other Batman who kills have really been as interesting as like the Batmans who don't. Like the only ones I can think of off the top of my head is like the Thomas Wayne Batman, but even then it's supposed to be like here's an inferior version of Batman, and this is why we need to like fix the timeline to get it back on straight. But like what was that one Batman that was basically the Punisher that showed up in the Batman Who Laughs comic? I forget what his name is. I think it was The Dark Knight. It was something like that. But like he was a Punisher Batman, but it's like, who cares? Batman Who Laughs has kind of become his own thing at this point, where he doesn't even feel like a Batman anymore. I mean, there was the Keaton Batman. There's a lot of Batmans on screen who kill, honestly. I mean, there's obviously there's the Ben Affleck Batman, but even then, like, unfortunately, as much as I liked Ben Affleck and some of his portrayal of Batman, I really did not care for him as much as other on-screen Batman. But like Michael Keaton's, he isn't even a perfect Batman outside of the kill role. So yeah, like I agree. Like in terms of like having a Batman who's like different, but from main Batman is he kills, is not that interesting unless it's Thomas Wayne, because it's, you know, it's actually saying something about a Batman who kills versus a Batman who doesn't. And then someone commented, and then Tom King undoes all of that. Yeah, we don't talk about the Tom King run. We really don't. Okay, we are not gonna talk about the Tom King run because that was a load of shit. I'll be honest. I get it has some of its fans. Some people like it. I just couldn't get into it. I just thought every decision they made blew so much. I kind of hate a Joker that can do martial arts. To me, the real threat of his character is his unpredictability and integrity. When I start seeing a buff Joker that can throw hands, I immediately tune out. Yeah, like Joker should be a threat because like what they say here, you can't predict him, you can't outthink him, like you can't, like the thing about Batman is that he tends to be a character who is so smart he can oftentimes be 10 steps ahead. With Joker, you can't do that because you can't plan what Joker's gonna do because he'll just do whatever he wants at the moment. Like yeah, he'll plan stuff. Joker definitely is someone who does plan stuff, but it's stuff that you can't like that normal person would ever think of. And making him be like a physical threat, I think if a Joker becomes a physical threat, I think it shows how lazy some of the writers are. Like arguably, I mean, they did fix it in the sequels, but like Arkham Asylum, the video game, when you had to fight a Titan Joker, that's just lazy. You could have done something different. You could have had like Bane return or do what they did in the sequel with like Clayface, like he gets another villain to fight for him. But instead, yeah, they just have him do that. Like I never been a big fan of like Joker being like a physical threat. I do believe like even his unpredictability would probably help him in terms of like combat, but he shouldn't be able to like go blow for blow with Batman at all. Let's see. Moving on to the next one. Batman should have a happy ending where he finally abandons the cowl. Yeah, but I don't know. There's a couple good I feel like, unfortunately, I don't know. I think it's more symbolic if it's more of a tragic, well not even, I think you could have it both ways where he doesn't get, I don't even really think that would fit with his character because I just don't think that would fit of him being like, yeah, I'm just done being Batman, unless it was just like he just grow too old. Like in Batman Beyond, it's not even a happy ending because the reason why he abandons the cowl is because he ends up using a gun. Even though he doesn't shoot it, he still uses it to get like a criminal off his back. But I don't know, it's something about Batman's character where he's like not stubborn, he's so like focused, he's so committed to the cause of being Batman and fighting crime that he wouldn't be able to stop. That's kind of like the way that Batman's really crazy. It's like the weird part about Batman, like the psycho part about Batman, is that he is like so committed to this war on crime that unless he either dies or is just unable to do it, whether it's due to like, you know, something mental with him, like the using the gun kind of broke his brain a bit of being like, yeah, I can't do this anymore, or whether it's like, no, he physically can't walk anymore, shit like that, like with Nightfall. That's the only times I could actually see him hanging up the cowl, and even then it would be forced upon him either by himself or by someone else. But yeah, I think a tragic end, honestly, unfortunately, would be the more sensible way to go. Like having him just be like, you know, going out in a blaze of glory, or him being forced out of it and someone else having to take up the reins. Like, I don't know, a happy ending I just don't think would fit with a character, unfortunately. You know, he's a bit too committed to the cause. Bat God writing and fail-safe type shit is fucking boring, and editorial is missing what makes Batman awesome. I believe this is a criticization of Chip Zdarsky's run on the book, and it certainly wasn't what I wanted from a Zdarsky run. I didn't think it was bad, but yeah, it got pretty ridiculous. But at the same time, I feel like a lot of Batman's latest runs have not been that great, and I feel like they fall, I don't know what they're doing with like mainline Batman right now, because right now they're revisiting like the Hush storyline. They're doing Hush 2. It's not good, is it? It's not good. He has not had it. Honestly, he has not had a good run since Scott Snyder. You know, you might differ. Some people, again, love the Tom King stuff. I honestly don't think since Scott Snyder he has had a good run. And even with Scott Snyder, they were like trying weird stuff. Like they had Jim Gordon in the mech suit. But even then, it at least fit into the story that Scott wanted to do with Bruce. Like Endgame happens, he like, you know, has memory loss. He forces himself to become Batman again because he's like, no, Gotham needs Batman though. Like it fits with what Scott was trying to say about Batman in that run. But with like after that, it's just like, let's just do weird stuff that doesn't fit into the story. Like, let's kill Alfred for no reason. Let's have him propose to Catwoman and then have that go nowhere. It's just weird stuff. Like James Tynion the Fourth's run, where they were just like, let's just invent a bunch of characters, like Ghostmaker and what's that other person, like Peacekeeper? He's like a cop guy or whatever. They had like some supporting character for Poison Ivy that they invented. Miracle Molly, I believe her name was. Like, who the fuck is that? Does anyone remember Miracle Molly? There was Punchline. They were just inventing so many different people. And I feel like with this, like, Chip Zdarsky run, it's around the same stuff too. Like, they invent Failsafe. They invent Red Mask, I believe his name is, like that alternate version of Joker or whatever. I mean, I would say, I think Zdarsky did some cool stuff, in all fairness. Like the Three Jokers thing, explaining that, even though he didn't need to, but at least like fitting into the story he wanted to do with like Batman of Zur-En-Arrh, like having him like work into that, I thought that was a cool element. Just Batman of Zur-En-Arrh becoming a big part of his run, I thought was a cool element to do it. I feel it was very interesting to make that a main focus of your run. But hey, he swung for the fences. In a way, Batman doesn't really need an arch enemy. His rogues galleries are all perfect on his own right. Yeah, I would agree to that. Even though I feel like just with the amount of stories about him and their rivalry, you can't get away from the fact that Joker is his arch enemy. Like, yeah, I believe like there are so many Batman villains that could be his like arch enemy, or like at least they're all on the same scale of importance to Batman. Like, you could have Poison Ivy up there, you could have Two-Face, Riddler, Penguin, Ra's al Ghul. Like, you could all have them be in like a Joker level, but at the same time, people like Joker. He's the first Batman villain, so a lot of people are just gonna be like, he's his arch enemy. All of the big Batman stories usually involve Joker in a big bad way, but like, I think that says a lot about like how creators can be a bit lazy of just like doing a Joker story. Like, every writer has a Joker story. Every writer for Batman always has a Joker story, and they don't have a lot of like Riddler stories. They don't have a lot of like Penguin stories or Two-Face stories. Some of them do. Scott Snyder did a Two-Face story in All-Star Batman. Tom King did a Riddler story, even though it was also a Joker story, which is very interesting. That story is very interesting itself. There was a Penguin book that came out recently by Tom King that I heard pretty good things about. I definitely want to check it out, but who knows. There was a Poison Ivy book. I think it's still ongoing. But yeah, but even then, with like Penguin and Poison Ivy, those are their own books. And I feel like with Poison Ivy too, with like the Harley Quinn show out, they tried to get away from like her being a supervillain, and now she's just a side character for Harley. So yeah, I mean, there's also Mr. Freeze, but Mr. Freeze is a weird villain because like outside of, he just wants to save his wife. How much can you really do with that except just explore that same storyline over and over and over again? Next one is Clock King is underrated as a fuck and should pull some Riddler shit. I kind of agree with this comment down here. I prefer him as a Green Arrow villain. Batman the Animated Series lost what made him fun to begin with and left. Actually, okay, so I don't agree with this part, but I do agree with the Green Arrow villain. I think what they did with him in the animated show was better because, like, yeah, he had like an interesting costume. But at the same time, you could also just say that when, like, before he was just a guy in a suit, like the way that the animated series portray him, he was just a guy in a costume. Like, nobody gave a shit about Clock King. And I feel like making him a Green Arrow villain, it helps limit redundancies within Batman's rogues gallery of just how many villains he has. But also, like, if we're going with the animated series version, yeah, he is just kind of another Riddler without like the fanfare. But making him a Green Arrow villain, not only does it give Green Arrow more stuff to do, it also, I think, I don't know, like, this is coming from someone who does like Green Arrow but isn't like super well knowledged on his enemies. I'm not aware if there's anyone who could like psychologically be a good Green Arrow villain. Like, there might be Count Vertigo, but he has powers that give him that ability to mess with him mentally. But like with Clock King, no, it's like, outwitting him, trying to outsmart him. I'm not sure if Green Arrow has any of those villains, but like with Clock King, it at least gives him that. But again, there's not a lot of Green Arrow villains to begin with that are of importance to the, that a lot of people are aware of. So, try to give him what he can. Honestly, you can make a lot of like Batman's rogue you could make a lot of like Batman's rogues galleries just other people's villains, because they don't do much within Batman's rogues gallery to begin with, outside of like being beaten by him in like a page or two. I think Catwoman should peg him. One could argue this is not a hot take. I honestly prefer the stories where Batman is the lone wolf, alone, no help, no aid. Oh, you want Sigma male Batman. Agreed, like Robin and all, but having just Batman makes it so much more badass to me. That's why I like Dark Knight Trilogy, the Batman 22, and first two seasons of the Batman. I mean, with the Batman, I feel like a big lesson he learns at the end is that he needs other people to help. Like, it's good to have people who help him, that he doesn't need to be a lone wolf. But I don't know, I feel like with Batman being like the lone wolf, we get that so often that honestly I would prefer more Robin stories at this point. They state here like, oh, this is why I like the Dark Knight Trilogy, the Batman, and first two seasons of the Batman. But like, there's so much other like Batman media that also fits into this, sort of genre of just Batman with no Robin. I feel like we could honestly use more a Batman with Robin. Like, I feel like there's almost an oversaturation of Batman being a lone wolf, and I don't even think this is a hot take. I feel like Robin should be a character who is in more Batman stuff. He's an integral part of his history. He was there before the Joker. He was invented before the Joker and was alongside him for many, many years. So yeah, I don't really agree with this. Red Hood should go back to being a villain / anti-hero. I think he's still technically an anti-hero, but going back to like a villain like Grant Morrison, under the Red Hood, yeah, honestly, he's just not doing anything, and his character is very stale at the moment. Like, it's constantly the same thing. Like, he wants to kill the Joker. He's upset that Batman won't kill the Joker. He's a part of a team of other anti-heroes. So like, his character has been so stagnant ever since they like rebooted like with the New 52, that they really just need to do something new with him, or do something different, or just kill him off again, because like nothing he has done in the last like 5 years or so has been interesting at all. The writers need to turn down the temperature 100% if DC wants to avoid Batman readers getting burned out and the character becoming a parody of himself. Batman's universe is too bloated with family offshoots, Gotham apocalyptic crises, villains, deaths, resurrections, endless despair, chronic relationship dysfunction, incredulous plot twist, soul-crushing calamities, and hourly technological miracles. Instead of continuing upping the stakes, readers should very much use less walking costume puns and more mundane detective stories and street level realism, more issues that allow us to enjoy the good guys and the unexplored aspects of their lives, even dare I say in happier, healthier moments. I know they're in business to sell sensationalism and more of that, and cliffhangers and all that. I'm just saying too much is too much in a balance. Yeah, this kind of works into like the last few years of Batman's history with his like comic book runs. They just try to do so much, and a lot of the stuff that they try to do, which is more grounded, it's just not there anymore. Like and here's the thing, there is that stuff in like Detective Comics. That's what they allow Detective Comics to be like, oh, we're just gonna give this to like, a second-rate writer that we don't have faith in putting on the main book. And usually like, I heard good stuff about like the Ram V run that went on in Detective. I'm not sure if it's still going on, but like that I heard was a more like grounded in a way, more street level. But like, yeah, I definitely agree with this. I think they're just doing too much. I think people are just burning it out. Who knows, maybe with this like Hush 2 storyline, maybe people are going to be more excited for the Matt Fraction stuff, and we'll see where that goes. But unless they like try to get Batman back to where, like, they really should try to work Batman into getting back to where he was, because I feel like with where he is now, it just feels like what they're saying, like, it's too much. I think people just don't really care for where he is right now. Most people probably don't even know what like the landscape of Batman and Gotham City is at the moment, because there's like so many different people like in weird positions. And I don't know, we'll have to see what the Matt Fraction run, but I would like to see a level of normancy return to the Batman universe. I don't know if it is a hot take, but I feel like Batman being a part of the JL kind of ruins the idea of his rogues gallery for various reasons. After facing someone like Darkseid, any other villain should be a cakewalk. Which kind of ruins my immersion when I'm supposed to believe that a regular thug could pose any particular threat. I don't think you were supposed to believe that from the beginning, unless you're talking about like early Batman. But I get that Batman likes to work alone, but wouldn't he consult some of his powerful allies when actual lives are at stake? I know that every hero has his own challenges, but you can't make me believing that everyone is always super busy at the same time. I hope I made myself clear. I'm not a native speaker. So the first part I don't really, I don't agree with. The second part, however, yeah, but that's the thing, that would ruin every story, honestly. If you think about it, like, why doesn't every superhero ever do that? Whether it's DC or Marvel, being like, hey, can I just get some of you guys to help me out? Like, it would just become boring at this point. Like, if they just did that constantly. Like, for the sake of a story, you had to just ignore some of, like, the common aspects of being in a shared universe. And that's to say that you could never do this. I mean, they did that in the Tom King run when, like, Gotham, that superhero, went crazy, and Batman was like, well, I'm not going to be able to do anything about this, so I just got the Justice League involved. But yeah, there are definitely points where it's just like, it would be nice to see that, like with the Failsafe storyline, where Superman comes and helps him, and the rest of the Justice League appears. Like, that was nice. I think that's probably more in line, which could happen, like stuff that should happen. But at the same time, it's just like, it would kind of make it boring if like you had this like Joker Batman story where there's like a lot on the line, and then Superman just shows up and saves everyone. Like, it would just kind of be like, oh, so that's just how, like, that's it. It's just like, snap of fingers and it's all done. But then with the, like, that one I kind of agree with, like, yeah, but even then you would have to ignore that just to enjoy the story. I feel like, you know, that's kind of nitpicking in a way. I don't know. But with the first half of being like, oh, if he's facing off against Darkseid, then every villain should be a cakewalk. Not really, because you're dealing with these people as a team, so yeah, of course it's going to be easier when you got like Superman and Wonder Woman right next to you. So yeah, like, you know, you say he's facing off against Darkseid. He's not facing off against Darkseid. Batman's not facing off against Darkseid, okay? He's not going to be facing off against Darkseid. Even when he had, like, bat armor, he wasn't able to, like, he was able to do some damage, but it was more like he was in a rush, you know? And he was just desperate. He was just like, I just gotta do whatever to go save my son. But, like, normally, he's not facing off against Darkseid. He's the guy in the chair when they're facing off against Darkseid. So, yeah, I don't think that really plays a factor into it. Like, Batman in the Justice League is a lot different from, like, Batman normally. To me, like, Batman in the Justice League, like, he's the guy who's like, you know, I'll face off against, like, the henchmen if there's, like, henchmen to be fought. But, you know, if it's anyone with powers, I'm just gonna stay back and do some, I'm gonna strategize for the team, you know? Versus, like, how Batman normally operates, which is like, yeah, I'll go punch the Riddler. I'll go face Killer Croc. I've done that a lot of times. But yeah, I don't really, I think that's a oversimplification of what he does in the Justice League. Like, if that's the case, then yeah, like, Booster Gold would technically be able to, like, defeat anyone because he faced off against Darkseid. I don't think Batman should kill the Joker. I don't think that's a hot take, honestly. The more the Bat family expands, the more it sucks. It gets too big at a point, but at the end of the day, the Bat family is going to always just be a revolving door of people, like, who, like, there's probably a bunch of people who, like, people consider to be in the Bat family who probably aren't anymore just because they, like, don't do anything. Like, I don't know. But, like, the Bat family to me is, like, in terms of, not just the Bat family, but, like, every super family team, like the Superman family, the Flash family, it all really comes down to, like, who is actually in a book. So, like, you know, there's always going to be characters just going in and out of these families, just in case, like, just depending on whenever people actually want to use them. So I don't think it's that big of a problem. I think it's just more of an optics issue on paper of being like, well, technically this person's in the family, even though they're not really doing anything. So I don't know. I do agree with the fact, like, some of these families are getting too big with people who just, like, with, like, members who don't do anything, members who don't really need to be there, members who were created and were given nothing immediately afterwards. We were just there to be created, like Red Canary. Red Canary was created. We were told that there was stuff planned with her, and we still have nothing. We still have no information on this character. No run, no mini series that they could have gave us. They were like, Red Canary. And I was like, okay, this looks cool. You gonna do anything about this? No. How about no? How about we do nothing with this character? Bruce Wayne is not the Mask. Batman is a persona that he implements to do good at night, while his real identity improves the world during the day. Yeah, I would kind of agree with it. I would say it's a middle ground. Like, I don't believe that Bruce Wayne is the Mask. I believe it's like a middle ground. Like, he is Bruce Wayne and Batman. It's just like, it just depends on, like, he's just going to emphasize one more so depending on what situation he's in. Oh no. Okay, we might end with this one because this one would probably be a very hot take. All-Star Batman and Robin is good for the actual mythos of Batman, as it took him to a place that we unanimously agreed was horseshit, and he should never go. Okay. To this point, he hasn't. Thanks, Frank Miller, for showing us how bad it could get. Yeah, honestly, no. You know what? I just really want to see someone defend All-Star Batman and Robin. I need to see someone defend it. That's what I want to end this video on. I want to end this video on someone actually trying to say, like, no, All-Star Batman and Robin is actually good. Like, I don't feel like a lot of these have been particularly hot takes. Okay, this one maybe would be a hot take. Maybe we could end on this one. What time is it? Yeah, we should probably end on this one. Bruce should be the only Batman. I don't like the idea of him retiring and people taking up the mantle. It feels very counterintuitive to for the point of Batman, which is that he's not a good guy. He's very obviously not perfectly sane, and he doesn't want other people to end up like him. I would have to disagree, because I don't think that's what the point of Batman is. I think that's not the point of Batman at all, is that he's just not a good guy. He's like a lunatic. That's not the point of Batman. The point of Batman is using your like trauma, the stuff that the bad stuff that has happened to you, and trying to make a way to like make life better. Like trying to use your trauma and get good out of it. Like the reason why he's Batman isn't because he just wants to punch random criminals in the face. He wants to be Batman to stop crime, to make it so that nobody would have to go through the same day that he did of some random criminal, gunning their parents just for like money and stuff like that. Like that's why he becomes Batman. That's what the point of Batman is using the bad stuff that has happened to you in your life and using it to make the world better. That's what Batman's about. And for Batman to be the only Batman, for no one to pick up the mantle, to pick up like this symbol of change, of hope, of like a better tomorrow, for no one to pick that up, for that just to be a stagnant mantle that only Bruce can use. I think that's very antithetical to the whole purpose of Batman. I don't think that's counterintuitive. I think it's very intuitive, as a matter of fact, to the point of Batman. Like, I think this is just a mischaracterization of like what Batman is. I think that's how you see Batman, but that's not the actual point of Batman. Yeah, he's not sane. That's the thing. Like you would have to be a little bit crazy to be like, yeah, let me dress up like a bat. But at the same time, that's not what the point of Batman is supposed to be. Like by this case, even by that understanding, that would make Superman not a good guy, because his idea of trying to change the world is getting in his costume and then punching people in the face with a super strength. Like you could make that argument too. By this logic, no superhero is a good guy, But yeah, I think this point is just entirely wrong. Whether it's Dick Grayson, whether it's like Tim Drake, Damian Wayne, Terry McGinnis, like Batman should be a mantle that someone takes on when Bruce is done, like when his story is up. I think that's what like Batman should be about. I mean, even in like The Dark Knight Returns, there's the sons of Batman, these like kids who have to be not coerced, but like mentored by Bruce to be better than what they are, to give them hope and to be like, here's how you actually make your situation better. This is how you actually make your world better by, standing up to injustice and stuff like that, and trying to be better by not like killing people, shit like that. Like even in that story, which has some flaws because, Frank Miller, but, at least in retrospect, even in that story, it encapsulates what Batman is better than what this person posted here. I mean, no shocker, The Dark Knight Returns is like an essential Batman story, so obviously it captures the point better. She's like some random Reddit user, but like, yeah, I think this person is just missing a big part of what makes like the actual point of Batman, what makes Batman Batman. But yeah, I guess we didn't even have to get to the other parts of this. I think we'll just have to leave it off here. Hello everyone, thank you for watching today's video. If you would like to see more videos like this, please leave a like and subscribe down below. If you would like to check out my main channel where I do political commentary as well as talk about internet drama and stuff like that, go follow my main channel FruitySoar. If you would like to check out my gaming videos, you can follow me at FruitySoar Gaming. But that's all I had to say for today. I'd like to thank you all for watching once again, and I will see you next time.